genre.
And welcome back to The Doctor's Companion, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And I'm Cass Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing The Romans, the first Doctor's 13th story, lucky number 13.
Yeah. So The Romans. There's not a ton about this one, to be perfectly honest, background wise, but it aired almost exactly 60 years ago, from January 16th, 1965 through February 6th, 1965. Written and directed, written by Dennis Spooner, directed by Christopher Barry. So, David Whittaker, who wrote the previous story, The Rescue, which introduced Vicki as a companion. He was our previous story editor for the show, and he was leaving. And on his way out, he wrote The Rescue to introduce this new companion. And he was leaving that post to Dennis Spooner. And Dennis Spooner, who had previously written, I believe it was The Reign of Terror, which was the one where the first Doctor got his fun little outfit. So he had previously written that one, and he was being given the post of story editor. But for a long time, they'd been talking about doing a story that was set during the Roman Empire. And so they decided that neither The Rescue nor its follow-up story, The Romans, would have a story editor credited, because Whittaker would write The Rescue, then leave the show. Spooner would write The Romans to help define Vicki as the new companion, and his era as the incoming story editor. And then would become the full-blown story editor after The Romans, therefore sort of like skirting around the BBC's rule about multiple credits. People aren't allowed to have multiple credits on BBC shows. So that's how that happened. And so that's why The Romans has no story editor credited. Spooner, as opposed to Whittaker, which, this is funny in retrospect, but we know more about history now than we did then. So, but Whittaker was much more focused on historical accuracy. Funnily enough, the guy who wrote the Cavemen, historical accuracy. So Whittaker was really into historical accuracy and wanted things to be as close to historically accurate as possible. Meanwhile, Spooner wanted to focus on entertainment value first. And so as the incoming story editor, he wanted to sort of put that up front with The Romans. And so, while historically, Emperor Nero was only 26 at the time of the Great Roman Fires, the actor they hired, Derek Francis, was 41, and he was hired because they were like, well, this guy's funnier. It'll be funnier if he's like if he's like an old chubby old man chasing around this girl like he's Benny Hill. That'll be funnier. So let's just do that. So they cast Derek Francis as Nero, playing a 26-year-old ish.
26. He should have been at the club.
Yeah, so true. the club.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The Romans hit a new ratings peak for Doctor Who at this point when it aired in 65, landing 7th overall, meaning not like 7th in its air spot, 7th in ratings overall across all the shows the BBC was showing. Doctor Who was 7th at this point. As a result, the show's second season was extended from 26 to 35 episodes, and a third season was all but guaranteed. So kind of nothing but net on this one, honestly. Like it's like they didn't really have any issues. Like it was kind of like, yep, well thought out plan with the whole story editor thing, best ratings the show had ever had. Third season almost guaranteed. I mean, this was just like this was nothing but net. This was a good one for everybody involved. And of course, Christopher Barry directed this one after previously just directing The Rescue, because they decided to just sort of like merge all of that into one production. And so he went right from The Rescue into The Romans and directed 6 episodes in a row. And then he would not be back until Power of the Daleks, which was
Oh, wow.
yeah, Troughton's first story, which we previously covered. A real good Dalek story. So yeah, that would be that's it for Christopher Barry for a while. But he's a good director, I think. I think he's quite a good director, because this one's a lot of fun. Cass, you love The Romans. It's your favorite First Doctor story, right?
It's not. It's
not.
Marco Polo is my favorite, but
Marco Polo. Okay,
that one doesn't exist. Here's your water, Marco Polo.
Yeah.
But no, I like The Romans. I have fun with this one. I like that it's funny. Some of the funny hasn't aged well, which we'll get into. But no, I like Hartnell in this a lot. I think you can tell that he's having fun.
Yeah.
And I like how kind of mischievous he is in this. And he's just kind of like, well, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just going to try and make the best of it. So, so I like that. And I like Vicki as a companion too. And Barbara and Ian are in fine form in this one.
That's very true. Nick, what were your thoughts on The Romans?
I was quite entertained as well. I thought this was a romp. I thought, despite being terrorized in many different ways, I thought the whole crew was having a gay old time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought this was just like a fun traipse through Roman history. I agree. I think I love how mischievous and like pre being found out Yoda Hartnell is.
Yeah.
Just giggling like an imp and starting chaos. And I think in particular, the Doctor and Vicki made a really fun duo towards like the latter half of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much more, I think their relationship is much more fun. It could be a lot lighter because she's not related to the Doctor, so he's not like constantly feeling the need to like teach her lessons and like put her in her place and stuff. So it's just like a very different energy, and I think that the show is better for it, definitely. As much as, we all miss Caroline Ford. But if they had written her like this, I feel like,
yeah, it's kind of like Susan is much more of like a good student, like wanting to be a good student, and like Vicki is like a little bit more of like a troublemaker.
Yeah, you told me there was going to be an adventure. I'm bored.
Yeah, they're just faffing about the first few minutes of this, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just so funny how quickly she's just like, I'm bored. This isn't what you promised me. And it was like, oh, do you want us to take you back to the ship where the guy was pretending to be a monster? Like,
it was like keeping you hostage.
Yeah. You want to go back to being villaged? Like, because we could do that.
We could do that real quick.
Like, what the hell, Vicki?
I like that because it opens with the TARDIS like careening off a cliff, and then we smash cut to like a month later.
Yeah. Like, well, that
Like,
was
it's like,
harrowing.
nah, it's fine.
They're
Yeah.
eating grapes and just like being
Uh-huh.
like, oh man, this has been a good month.
Yeah. I liked Ian discreetly spitting out the grape seeds into his hand and then flinging them away. He's just like very discreetly doing it rather than like just like spitting it, like, you know,
Like a real gentleman.
Yeah, he was kind of being as close to a gentleman as he could, I guess. Yeah.
The Ian and Barbara flirting in this episode is like peak. It's so good.
Mhm.
It's pretty good. I think it's weird that Ian is afraid of a comb. But other than that, I think it's really solid.
Yeah, like how exacerbated or like, eye rolly Barbara is when Ian is like keeps launching into these like Shakespearean, friends, Roman countrymen, lend me your ear.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's delightful.
He's not even a history teacher, right? Wasn't he science?
Yeah, he's science. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the history teacher.
Right. What an asshole.
So I guess like this one is a little light on plot, but there is a plot. So Team TARDIS is in this villa outside of a village near Rome, but not like right outside Rome.
Mhm. Not quite a suburb of Rome.
Yeah. And they're just hanging out. They're just resting. Vicki and Barbara go to the market, and they're like scoped out by these really shifty guys, and who turn out to be slave traders. And then the doctor gets fed up with Ian, I guess, and he just decides he's going to go to Rome by himself. Vicki is like, "Please take me along. I'm bored." So they leave.
Mhm.
They find a body. No, that's in the second one, right? The next one?
Oh yeah, the lyre player.
The liar player.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they do find the body in the first one, that's right.
Mhm.
So they find the body of this old man who's he's like a musician. And
Maximus?
Maximus, yes.
Yeah.
Maximus
And
Cotillion.
there's a centurion who is like searching the bushes. He assumes the doctor is this lyre player because the doctor has picked up the lyre. And the doctor goes along with it. So the centurion leads him and Vicki away towards like the village proper. He like escorts them because Emperor Nero is expecting him. And then back at the villa where they were staying, the slave traders like roll up and they kidnap Barbara and Ian. In the scuffle, Barbara like knocks Ian out on accident, which is probably why they end up getting kidnapped. And the doctor, like the centurion who leads the doctor and Vicki away, ends up talking to this assassin. Is like, "Look, you messed up. I found this guy alive, and you have to like actually kill him this time." So the episode ends with like the guy drawing a sword menacingly and like entering the doctor's room.
Right.
Dun dun dun.
So one, I just, with all of the the passing of the torch from Whittaker to Spooner going on behind the scenes, I think it's really funny that Whittaker like he'd left him a cliffhanger of like, "Ooh, good luck getting out of this one."
Yeah.
And then he
that's
took
fun.
over and he was just like, "I'm just not going to." Like, I'm just going to be like, "Oh yeah, we solved that off screen, whatever." Anyway, just it's so funny.
I think at one point. Oh no, please.
Oh no, I was gonna say I hadn't even thought about that, but that is really funny.
Yeah.
It might be part one. I think at one point Ian is like, "But Doctor, isn't the TARDIS is it safe in those bushes? And she's like, the TARDIS can literally move in any direction. It doesn't matter if it's lopsided or under some bushes. Like, don't worry about the TARDIS. TARDIS is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then something. Yeah, so like the village scene where they're like at the market,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, Vicki really wants like that fabric, that nice fabric, and is trying to like haggle with the market lady, the lady at the table. I don't know, the lady selling, the merchant. And I found it like it was very frustrating to me because I just wanted one of them to say a price, because I was like, but I want to know what the financial, like what is the financial equivalent now? Like what is she actually wanting? But they just kept going back and forth and be like, you tell me a number. No, you tell me a number. And I was like, I want to know, because later you hear prices for slaves, but like I don't have any context for that. I don't know what that's supposed to be worth. So I wanted to know how much the fabric cost, but we never found out. And I was very disappointed. Is the slave trading, like, did they say why they were selected specifically, Barbara and Ian?
I think like because they just like appeared and they're not like local. They're not like technically Roman citizens.
Oh, okay.
In the marketplace, Vicky's like, "Oh, I love being from London," and Doctor's like, "You mean?" Oh no, it's Barbara. Barbara's like, "I think you mean Londinium, Vicky. When in Rome," and they're like, "Oh, they're Britons.
Oh, okay.
They'll fetch a fair price."
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a bummer.
I appreciate you can see the Lear player, the real Maximus Spitilian, playing in like the commons where they're shopping and stuff. And I do appreciate how, even though he has no lines, the actor does look a little like William Hartnell.
Yeah, that is good. And what's the deal with the assassin? Why is he like he's like I mean, he's kind of like a caveman, to be honest. Like he's got
they I think they like Vicky or Barbara talk about it, but like they don't have tongues, so they have like plausible deniability. So like they can't tell them who hired them.
Oh, okay.
So he doesn't have a tongue.
Okay, got it.
And he is dressed like in rags. So like, yeah, that's where I guess like the caveman.
Yeah. I was getting real like Bam Bam energy from that guy.
Oh my God.
I guess because also he was just like, he had this like, like clearly dull sword. So it just looked like a club, and then he was just dragging around. Anyway.
That's funny.
Yeah. That there's the two slave traders, Sevcheria and Didius. One of them is like an older guy, and then the other one is like young with like a really fake chin strap beard. And it's so funny when you watch these old episodes of Doctor Who and you spot like an actor who's clearly been around the block for a while, and then like kind of like a fresher faced actor who's like kind of looking up to the older actor that he's sharing the scene with, and you just sense that like energy like exuding from the scene. And every scene with the two of them, that's what I was like feeling that energy of like, wow, I'm going to learn a lot from working with this guy. And I'm like, this guy, this is you guys are both doofuses. I don't know. It was just funny.
That was,
I guess it's effective because like that's kind of the dynamic that was like written into the script. Like I got the sense that like this guy was training the younger guy. So like I don't know, maybe he's really good.
Yeah.
Like at one point, Sevcheria is like, "You'll make a slaver yet, Didius." Yeah. It's like, oh boy,
wow, really a slaver?
Gee. The thing I like best about this episode, I think, is just like the slice of life vibes. I like that it's quote unquote slow. Like there isn't like a whole lot going on because like we're just hanging out with them and having a nice time until we are not having a nice time.
Yeah, but I think what it does is like it helps sort of like you said, like get some vibes and do a little bit of world building of like the time period they're in. But then, you get to, it allows for part 2 through 4 to like really like run at a clip. Like they're really nicely paced in terms of like how much story is in each part, and it's because they kind of held back most of the story in part 1, and I think that's a really good strategy, generally speaking.
Yeah, like I like Barbara and Ian. Like when Ian's like, "Oh, go," or Barbara's like, "Oh, Ian, go get some ice," and like he starts to, and it's like, "Oh, you asshole!" And Barbara's like, "You fucking did it, though, you idiot! You really."
Yeah. She pulls out when she pulls out the comb because she wants to like give him like a Caesar like comb down or whatever. He freaks the fuck out, and and I thought she had like, I don't know, like antique, like ancient scissors or something that she had got. I thought she was like legitimately trying to give him a haircut. When I realized it was just a comb, I was like, why is he freaking out so much? Oh no,
Maybe
my
it's
precious
really
part.
pointy.
It's funny. We just got done talking about Joy to the World and how a lot of people's favorite part of that episode was like 15 and Anita like just hanging out and like the vibes of that. And I think this was really what was missing from the Ruby season, is just like there wasn't enough of them, just because the chemistry was there, like so clearly there, but we just never got enough of them just like enjoying wherever they were, or just like going around the shop looking at materials.
Yeah. I think because all of the episodes are like a little more, they were all like kind of intricate plot wise a little bit more, and I don't know if that's just like a side effect of I don't know, modern storytelling or what. Like would kids today see them walking around a village about, with like not having like much else going on in that scene? Would they be like, what is this scene, filler? Like I just
There's no
where's
lore.
the plot? I need the plot right now. Get it in my veins. I don't know. But I'm with you, Nick. I think you're right. I think that's exactly what was missing. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm honestly
Speaking
just so
of plot.
excited. I'm so excited to talk about how this cliffhanger gets resolved that I'm
Oh, okay. So
with an ass whooping.
yeah. So this poor assassin who actually did his job, and now he's like, wait, what? I have to kill another guy? So the doctor like beats him down.
Yeah. Like hockey style. Like just like pulls his shirt over his head and just beats the shit out of him.
And then the poor guy jumps out the window.
Yeah, rather than continuing to get wailed on.
And he's like practicing the leer when the assassin sneaks up on him, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to fight, do you?" And just like, just mollywops him.
He has to tell Vicki, "Oh, I forgot how much I loved fisticuffs."
Yeah, the gentle art of fisticuffs or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And Vicky's just like, "You're a cool old man." He's like, "Yeah, I am."
So the doctor is just like, well, okay, so clearly they're still trying to kill me. I still don't know why. The Centurion like left. So he decides that they're still gonna go to Rome anyway. And then we get like this like montage of Ian and Barbara's like worst vacation ever. Like Barbara and Ian were like separated in episode 1, like right away. So like Barbara is put in jail waiting to be sold, like that auction and like the old Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And Ian's on like a ship, and he's being forced to like row without like rest. And he meets this person, Delos, I think, is the guy that's like basically like his rowing buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ian tries to like escape.
On a
He
boat.
fails.
Yeah. He literally does like the get help plan from Ragnarok. Like that's
But it goes poorly.
it goes very poorly.
Yeah, his poor friend. And then like there's like a shipwreck, I think. There's like a storm. And it causes the ship to break. And then Ian wakes up on like a beach, still with his manacles on, and his buddy is like, "Oh, I pulled you to safety." And Ian's like, "Oh my god, you saved my life." So like, I don't know. So now they're like, Ian's like, "I'm gonna go to Rome and I'm gonna rescue my friend. Are you coming?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I guess so."
It's also been 9 days.
Yeah. Poor Ian. And Barbara is trying to take care of one of the other women who's like in this slave caravan with her. She gets sold at the auction to a man named Tavius, who ends up he works for Nero's court. So she is like the newest slave to like the empress.
Yeah,
Papaya.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's their plot. The Doctor and Vicki make it to Rome. The Doctor still has no idea, like, really what's going on. The Doctor can't play the lyre, and this guy is like a well-renowned, like well-regarded musician, like the person that he's assumed the identity of. So he's been invited to Nero's court to play. The Doctor doesn't play an instrument, so he's kind of like bullshitting his way through, which is really fun. And there's like some court intrigue. We meet Nero, who is like, he's very campy, but like in a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
How does the episode end? The episode ends with, oh right, Ian. It like smash cuts to Ian getting thrown in prison again. So Ian and his friend Delos, they are in Rome, but they get caught immediately, and then now they're going to be gladiators. And they're like, "Oh, what are we going to be fighting?" And then there's like a bunch of stock footage of like these lions. And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah, I thought about you, Cass. I know how much you love when the show just employs old stock footage.
Yeah, I literally was just like, "Oh hell yeah!"
I like how Delos and Ian just like, they're on the beach and they're like, "We have to get to Rome," and then they just like fast travel and they're like, "Wow, we're in Rome. This is great."
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh man. So when Ian tries the get help plan, they skip, first of all, for problem number one, they skip straight to he's dead. He just died. Which is,
Yeah, he like coughs or something, and he's just like he like keels over.
yeah. And Ian's like, "Get the master. He's dead. We need help. He's dead." And it's like, well, you don't need any help if he's dead. The only help you need is like another guy to be there to help you row. And when they like try to like jump the guy, I don't know what you would call the guy that's like telling them when to row. Slave driver? I don't know.
Quartermaster.
Yeah. Well, he's not the master because he's telling him to go get the master.
Mm-hmm.
And
God,
then the guy's like, "I don't need to do that. Let me check him out myself." And he's like, "That wasn't part of the plan."
Shit.
Damn.
But it goes so poorly. Them trying to escape goes so poorly that the guy has like a whip with like a knot at the end to like hit them with. and he doesn't even bother hitting them. That's how poorly their escape plan is. It's like, I can't even be bothered to punish you for this. That's how poorly this went. It's like, just get back to Rowan, asshole.
This is it's a real example of like if you kind of cut the story or the plot into like two turns, it's like the Doctor and Vicki are just making high roll after high roll. We're like, oh, the bullshitting was really effective. Like Nero falls for it, and Ian is like, not one, it doesn't work. Like,
oh, that's so funny. Yeah, and then the guy who what'd you say his name was?
Tavius.
Tavius.
Yeah. The nice man who buys Barbara for $10,000. Who tries to buy her earlier, like under the table. And the guy's like, no, just go to the auction and you know.
Okay,
like,
I will
do more than everybody else. And it's like, and he does like buy like $7,000. And so it's just like,
it kind of kills the vibe, to be honest.
It really does. Like it kills the vibes of the whole place. I like that guy that is like, I'll give you 500 for her, and he was like, please, only serious offers only.
Right. Like good joke.
Yeah, good joke. $500. But her becoming the Empress's handmaiden is interesting. Do we find out here that the handmaiden is like not into Barbara because she's like, this is how I got started as Empress?
I don't.
That's part 3.
I think that's part 3.
Okay, yeah, but
I know your game.
Yeah, it's interesting that like the way that this, because they're all kind of separated in this episode, but then like by the end of the episode they're all in the same place basically.
There's this funny scene where Vicki in part 2 where Vicki and the Doctor are walking through the commons in Rome, and like the slave auction is starting. And Vicky's like, hey, what's going on over there? And the Doctor's like, don't worry about it. It's none of our business. And then literally as soon as they go off camera, like Barbara gets trotted out.
Yeah. That's good. Things are moving. Nero, like I said, it's like if Benny Hill was like an emperor.
It's very like Zero Mostel, just like very like campy and almost like a Looney Tune.
Right.
Yeah, it's very over the top. Like he's like very he's like a big petulant child is his vibe.
Well, he's only 26 years old, Cass.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They were right. I don't know. It's funnier when it's like a middle-aged man.
It's true.
It's like a big man baby.
Yeah.
So, in episode 3, this Tavius guy seems to know what is going on as far as like the original like what's his name, Maximus?
Yeah, the one who died.
Yeah. So he keeps trying to like talk to the Doctor, and the Doctor is just like, oh yeah, I totally know what you're talking about, but he has no idea. But he's not getting any information out of him, so he's just like, okay, well, I guess I just have to keep doing this. Vicki randomly befriends this woman who serves as the like court poisoner. She just like brews poisons. And she's like, oh wow, why do you do that? And like this woman's just like, oh well, you know, people always want to just try and like assassinate each other, so that's why I'm here. And Vicky's like, oh.
She's got a real like Disney movie sub-villain vibes. Like, yeah, like she just She feels like I can see her animated and having a song. Like I can,
Yeah.
about all the poison she uses.
Yeah, because she takes pride in her work. She seems to really enjoy making poisons and kind of like delights in bragging to Vicki about, like, she's like, yeah, this is gonna be a good one. Whoever it's for is really in for a real poisoning.
Episode 3 is also where Nero chases Barbara all over the palace.
Okay,
And-
I just figured out Nero, the guy who plays Nero, he reminds me of Dom DeLuise. That's who he reminds me the most of.
For sure.
Just, yeah. Especially like the chasing around and everything. It's kind of like he's almost like a Blazing Saddles character. Like that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah. Well, because like the what it's like a farce, right? Like the style of this story,
right?
With like the missed connections and everything like that. So we have this like prolonged sequence where poor Barbara is being like terrorized, and like the doctor almost sees her a couple of times, and like Vicki almost sees her a couple of times, and that hasn't aged well.
I mean, you're right, but also it's so silly that it doesn't really age. It doesn't. It just is. It's just very silly.
Yeah. Like I know it's definitely a product of its time.
Yeah.
And I like the dramatic irony of like all of Team TARDIS is here but hasn't seen each other yet. But like, I don't know, poor Barbara.
Yeah, she gets chased around by him, and then like the Empress walks in and she's like, "Oh, are you having fun?" And he's just like, "That handmaiden just will not leave me alone. She's been chasing me around all day." And then
like it's a big close up of like, "Oh, I'm such a stinker."
It's so silly.
Yeah. So that prompts the Empress to be like, I don't like this new handmaiden. She's got to go. So she hires the court poisoner. And Vicki overhears. So Vicki, not knowing who the new handmaiden is just like, well, that's not good. So she swaps the cups, the poisoned cups.
Because she just doesn't want the handmaiden that she doesn't know to die. She doesn't care if the other person she doesn't know dies.
Right. Yeah. That's what's important.
Yeah. Just not the handmaiden she doesn't know. It's very silly.
I do like how when she's talking to the doctor about it and she's just like, oh yeah, I think I accidentally poisoned Nero. And the doctor's like, what?
No, you can't meddle. No meddling. That's rule number 1 of a historical.
So he goes to warn his new best friend, Emperor Nero. And they have like a feast in the doctor's honor. The doctor has to play the lyre, but then he just is like, well, this one I'm going to play so quietly that only like the people with like the keenest hearing can hear it. So like he just sits there and pretends to play the lyre, and then everyone is like, "Oh wow, this is really good," which is so silly.
Yeah, I mean, he literally tells Vicki, he was like, "Ever heard of Emperor's New Clothes? That's where I got that move from." Ayo.
It's like, I gave it to Hans Christian Andersen, the fucking pedo.
And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then Nero is just like, "That fucking piece of shit. Everybody loves him. You're supposed to love me."
Remind me, what's Vicky's time era?
The future.
She's from the future. Okay, so I guess Hans Christian Andersen doesn't last to her time.
Into space, I guess. I don't know.
That's
funny. Okay, and then Ian. Yeah, we got to check in with Ian. So Ian and his friend Delos, they Nero is so upset that the doctor is so good at playing the lyre and he's like so beloved at court. So he's just like, I'm going to kill that guy. So he goes to like the arena and is like, you know what? I'm in the mood to watch a gladiator fight. Like, make these people fight. So then it's like Ian and his new best friend have to fight each other to the death.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Ian sees Barbara, because Barbara goes with Nero. And then the episode ends with we are assuming that Ian is in mortal peril.
Right.
Because
He's
there's
gonna
like a
chop
sword.
his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Definitely.
love how, and we'll get into this more in part 4, so I almost kind of maybe should save this thought for a couple minutes from now. I love how ride or die Delos is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a real pal.
He is. Yeah. He likes Ian. He's like, you seem smart. I'm gonna stick around with you.
You fucked that rescue up real good, but you still seem pretty nice.
When I was earlier when I was talking about this episode, like I paused it right here to go like get food, and I was explaining to Norman what was happening, and I was like, Ian's kind of having like a real Miles O'Brien of a time. Like his storyline is like the bleakest. Like he's just poor Ian. Like he has to fight his new friend to the death. Like
it's kind of funny. The Barbara Ian stuff, now in retrospect, it's all leading to this really funny punchline at the end of part 4 that kind of makes like, yeah, because they really get put through the ringer compared to the Doctor and Vicki, and it's all leading to this like joke at the end that kind of to me makes it worth it.
But it's also, speaking of Miles O'Brien, it's like a very like end of a DS9 episode kind of joke as well.
Yeah, where it's just like, it's fine. Your suffering's over.
Yeah,
like
where they're just like, man, we really had a great time on that one, and then you just like everybody walks off camera, and then like Miles just like lingers for a second, and then he also walks off camera.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's great. We never bring up Star Trek.
A real
on the
great
show.
time.
Oh yeah, fucking hell, great.
I need to watch DS9 again. Ian's friend tries to like go for the Emperor instead, and the guards are like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And
when you come for the Emperor, you best not miss.
Yeah.
As they say.
So Ian gets taken away, and he tells Barbara that he'll like come and rescue her. And Nero's like, "Oh, you will you?" So he like stations a bunch of guards around the palace. And the Empress is really upset that her murder didn't go according to plan. So she's like, she talks to Tavius, and she's just like, "Hey, you know that new handmaiden you gave me? I don't want her anymore. Tell her to go away."
Poisoning her to death was the first option. The second
Yes.
option was firing her.
Yes.
Asking her to leave.
She seems to de-escalate.
Welcome, change of pace.
So Barbara basically like confides in Tavius, because like he like helped her out of a bad situation. So she's just like, "Hey, earlier I said I wasn't planning on staying here. My friend is going to be coming, but like I think they're going to try and like use me as bait to like trap them." So he's like, "It's fine. Don't worry about it. I got you." And the Doctor and Vicki find like this like piece of parchment or whatever. It's like a map of like New Rome. And like Nero wants to like rebuild the city. And the like Tavius finally tells the Doctor what's going on. Like the Doctor, the liar player was meant to try and assassinate Nero. And the Doctor's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I won't be doing that." So he basically like Nero confronts him, and the doctor is warned about Nero wanting to kill him. And in the conversation where he just drops a bunch of hints that he knows what's going on just because he's the doctor and he can. I don't know what the purpose of that is other than to like piss Nero off. But the doctor like is holding his glasses behind his back, and then like the sun is like perfectly aligned with the lenses of his glasses so that the paper on the desk catches fire. And then Nero is just like, oh, I'll like burn the city.
Because the Senate didn't approve
kill-
his plans.
Yeah. I don't want to kill you anymore. You're a genius. I'm going to go do this now. So the doctor is like, okay, time for us to leave. So he and Vicki wait till nightfall to like skedaddle. Ian and Delos are like hiding in the bushes, and they kind of sneak into the palace with a bunch of these people that Nero is hiring to like set the city on fire. And Tavius finds him, and he like reunites Ian with Barbara, and they all leave just as like the city is starting to burn. And there's like a shot of this Tavius guy like holding a like crucifix. So like I guess he was in league with other people to like kill the emperor because he's a Christian, I think is the implication. But I don't like know enough about that part of Roman history, but I'm like that's what I'm assuming. And so the doctor and Vicki like kind of watch Rome burn, and Vicki's like, "Hey, you told me not to meddle. Like this is your fault." And the doctor's just like, "It's not my fault." And then he kind of laughs, and he's just like, "Oh, maybe it is my fault."
Like even he doesn't know if he meant to do that or not.
Yeah.
he's also just like, but you know, whatever. It was supposed to happen. It always happened. So I guess it was my fault. Whoopsie.
And then we have like Ian and Barbara get to the villa before the doctor and Vicki. So they are just like, man, like what a couple of weeks we've had, huh? And we have like Ian does the same like fridge joke to Barbara. They like flirt more, and then
Chicky fucker.
Yeah. They're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just wait for the doctor. And the doctor and Vicki come back, and they're both taking a nap, and he's just like, You guys are just been lying around for 2 weeks, man. Come on, like we're going to go to the TARDIS, and they don't even get a chance to like be like, no, actually, we've been traumatized, but okay,
we're never going to be the same again.
Yeah, we're fundamentally changed as people, but go off. And the episode ends with they go back to the TARDIS, and the doctor is like sitting at the control panel, the console, and Ian's like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And the doctor's like, yeah, I think we're being pulled into a planet, and I can't control it." And Ian's like, "Oh, okay." And then that's how it ends.
Yep.
It's almost like we're being dragged down by some kind of web.
Yes. Yeah. But good story.
Yes.
I like the reveal in part 4. The whole time the doctor's been trying to get at the heart of whatever conspiracy he's been thrust into, and he finds out that the conspiracy is actually him. Like he's the assassin, he's the person that's like they've been looking for, and he's like, "Oh, okay, it was me."
So this is 2 historical fires that the doctor is responsible for.
Right.
Yeah, the burning of Rome and the fire of London. Responsible for both of those, as we've learned. And by our 2 like least likely candidates of doctor too, like 1 and 5. Like,
yeah,
I would never guess that those were the ones who would be responsible for 2 historical fires. But There are pyromaniacs, apparently.
I like one being sort of deceptively chaotic.
Mhm.
Like you picture him as being like the prim proper by the books doctor, but really he's just like, I don't know, but it's great. Sometimes start fires.
He's like a gremlin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My other question, did the fire look weird to you guys? I couldn't figure out why it looked weird to me. It
Like small.
I don't know. Like it just looked
Like-
odd. Like almost like it was composited in, but I was like, well, that's not possible in the 60s on television.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, do you mean the like when the horizon's on fire,
no,
or like?
anytime there was fire on the
Oh,
torches,
I don't know.
on the
Oh.
paper, every time it was like, because it was almost like the fire was there, but there was no smoke. So it was just like this, it was like clip art of fire. It was weird. It looked weird. I don't know.
I wonder if whatever effect they were using in camera or on set didn't produce a lot of smoke for whatever reason.
Yeah. I was like, is this real fire or, and it just like looks weird on these like studio cameras, or like, is it some kind of effect, like lighting
'Cause I
effect, or like what
I
is
think
this?
when Nero has the piece of paper, like you can see it disintegrating.
Yeah.
Like you can see like the pieces like falling off of it. So like maybe it just made the camera
yeah.
kind of wonky.
Maybe it was like a lighting thing
Yeah.
where the camera was just like, that's really bright. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know.
Maybe my ear was just picking them up more. I noticed, particularly from William Hartnell, a lot of line flubs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's always doing line flubs. He's always messing up his lines. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a lot of line flubs. They get worse as his era goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time you're at the 10th planet, like he's barely finishing a sentence without a flub.
It's sad. It's sad because like
it
you
is.
know,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, they deal with it in Adventure in Space and Time a little bit. They like talk
Mhm.
about the line flubs happening. So
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. William Hartnell.
The way I took the Tavius reveal, like with the crucifix, is like, because there's the part with when he's helping Barbara, and Barbara's like, "Why are you helping?" He's like, "I have my reasons." And you know, I'm not an expert on Roman history either, but my understanding is that Christians at the time were being like fed to lions in the arena,
Mm-hmm.
and or at least that was like our understanding of history at the time. And so I was like, oh, maybe he's like an undercover, he's pretending to be a slaver, but really when he meets people like the Britons, it was like, oh, I'm gonna smuggle you out. And like that really melodramatic zoom in on of him holding his cross was meant to be like, oh, he was a good guy all along, or he was like, he mistook
Right.
Barbara for like a Briton.
Yeah. Because
Right.
like I don't know, because like there's a part where she's like, "Why are you helping me?" And he's just like, "Well, I noticed that you were being like kind to like your like your other slaves or whatever." And she's just like, "No, I'm just doing, you know, whatever anyone else would do." So he's just like, "Oh no, like she's nice. I'm gonna help her out."
Right. Because they were still like Romans were still polytheistic, right? At this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And like the emperor would be like a god, like considered a
Oh,
god too.
okay.
I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that would be why he would be like, no Christians.
Mhm.
Also, pretty fresh religion at this point, isn't it? Like 29 AD,
64 AD.
64
Yeah.
AD. Yeah, so that's a pretty fresh religion.
Piping hot out of the oven.
Piping hot. Yeah, barely 30 years old, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense.
I really like at the end when they're back in the TARDIS and Vicky's like, "So where are we going? Like, where's the doctor taking us?" And they're like, "Oh, he doesn't know." Like,
Mhm.
what do you mean? He's been over there futzing with the controls for like hours. Like, yeah, he has no idea what he's doing. And Vicky's like, "Come on, you're not. That can't be true." Like, no,
No,
being led by
it's
a
true.
mad man.
It's true, all right. He's thinking real hard about which lever to pull, but he doesn't know what any of them do.
Mm-hmm.
He's just trying to. He's like, how long has it been since I've pulled this one? Yeah, so that's the Romans. Next time we're with the First Doctor, it'll be the Web Planet, as alluded to, which unfortunately I remember being pretty boring. But maybe
Is
I'm
that
wrong.
the one with the bugs? The bug people?
I think so. Yeah.
It's a safe assumption.
I like that one.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm merging in my head with another one or something. But yeah, so the Web Planet will be next for the First Doctor. But first, we have the rest of this season to go through. Next time, we'll be talking about Fury from the Deep, a second Doctor story that does not exist, but has been completely animated. So we'll be watching an animated version. We're actually going to get to watch the animated one.
Yay!
We got to it after it was animated.
Is that Victoria's last one?
Is it her? Let me see.
Oh no, I bloody love
it is.
Victoria.
Deep. Yes, it is. It is. It is Victoria's last one.
Damn.
Yeah, because next time, we'll have the Wheel in Space, which is my beloved Zoe.
Zoe's cool.
Yeah, you're gonna love Zoe.
Oh.
I know. Be sad
Okay.
about losing Victoria. Go ahead,
Mhm.
but also
Yeah.
just know.
I mean, I was really sad about losing Susan to the patriarchy, but now I really like Vicki.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you forget them as easy as you miss them. These classic Who companions.
That's what the Doctor always says.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I did want to get speaking of like reconstructions and animateds and all of that stuff. I did want to get Nick, you're not going to have much of an opinion to this because you haven't seen this story and you won't for quite a while, but I wanted to get Cass's opinion about, have you heard about the War Games and everything they did with the War Games?
Yeah, the 90-minute colorized version.
Yeah, but did you hear what they specifically did?
Mm-mm.
They canonically made the war chief the master.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Just why?
Because it's long been a fan theory that he was the earliest incarnation of the master. And so they just literally made it canon by
That's weird.
they they added the master's theme to one of this conversation between the Doctor and the war chief. They add the master's theme to it, and it's sort of basically canonically stating yeah, this is the master.
Huh.
Yeah. That's it's the iteration before Roger Delgado, basically.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I like that, but it's been a really long time since I've seen War Game. But I don't know. I feel like that undercuts Delgado. I don't know, because especially it's because we meet the master
a year later,
not long after.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, we get season 8, and that's the end of season 6.
And then the master shows up. Yeah.
But yeah. Apparently he is canonically now our earliest iteration of the master. And
I didn't know the master had a theme.
Yeah.
The the 3 or whatever, the Murray Gold master theme, or
no, I think it's Roger Delgado's master theme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know because I haven't seen it. I've just heard about this.
That's interesting.
But yeah, because the war chief dies in that episode, but now they're saying oh well, he didn't die, he just regenerated into Roger Delgado. Which means that the master is now responsible for 5 of his regenerations.
Well, because I don't want to spoil too much for Nick.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I won't remember. It's fine.
I guess involved. Yeah, that's very true. I shouldn't say like directly responsible, but like you know, indirectly. He's typically indirectly responsible most of the time.
That's weird. But then, like, wouldn't the other Time Lords know that he was in there, or like, was he just being a little scamp?
I mean, I don't know. He's the master. He loves being a little scamp.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to think about that.
I don't know. It makes me wonder if they'll end up like retconning the meddling monk to also be the master, like another.
I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to do that. I want the monk to come back, and I want him to be his own thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Have I met the meddling monk yet?
No.
No.
Okay.
You'll love him though.
Soon, I think.
Yeah, soonish. Well, soon. Couple years.
Okay.
Relatively soon.
I couldn't remember where in the first Doctor.
I don't know if is it in 2026? Yes. The end of 2026 is when you'll.
Oh, okay.
You'll
soon
meet
is
the
relative,
meddling
I
monk.
guess.
So yeah. Anyway.
After
There we go.
midterms.
So that is the Romans, and next week we'll have Fury from the Deep, which is fully animated and available on Tubi. So,
Sweet.
yeah, so
Good
that's
old
good.
Tubi.
Yeah, good old Tubi. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.